There's a saying in life that you can only expect two things for sure: death and taxes. I would like to proposition that there's a third thing that you will never be able to avoid. That is people lying about pay-per-view numbers, gates, and all kind of other numbers related to boxing for the sake of pushing a narrative that makes their fighter look better. And one other potential, which is to make things up to make other fighters look bad. And that's what we have experienced over the last day as word spread that Canelo Alvarez absolutely demolished Gervonta Tank Davis's pay-per-view numbers against Frank Martin and gate against Frank Martin when he fought Edgar Berlanga. And as a result, Canelo Alvarez must be clearly the face of boxing. Let's look, though, at the numbers that were given and whether or not they're actually true. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 135-pound division, as well as the 168-pound division, where numbers have come in, purportedly have come in, for the Canelo Alvarez fight, and the numbers are exceptional. 750,000 pay-per-views is the number that was given out. Big problem. There's no way that's true. Also, $22 million gate number given out. Likewise, problem. No way that's true. Now, why do I know that it's not true? I know that it's not true because when I got the information, I received the information on Tuesday, January 17th. What's the problem with that? The problem with that is that the 17th is only 3 days after the fight. And one thing we know for sure is that you do not get pay-per-view numbers that fast. They should have an idea about where they're headed. According to Eric Gomez, who runs Golden Boy Promotions, who obviously has been involved in many pay-per-views, said you won't know the numbers for 10 or 11 days. People like Dan Rayfield start getting the numbers later on in the week before the total numbers are tallied. So what did Dan Rayfield have to say about this? Dan Rayfield came out and said the 750,000 pay-per-view number is a lie. However, that the pay-per-view itself did very well, and that the PBC and Canelo Alvarez are going to be very happy with the outcome of the fight. So, what does that mean? It means that people are pushing an idea which really doesn't even need to be pushed, that Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing and not Gervonta Davis, because of these numbers that clearly are so much better than the ones that came out for Gervonta. Gervonta's gate was not 22 million against Frank Martin in Vegas. It was reportedly 14. Gervonta Davis did not do 750,000 pay-per-views against Frank Martin. Word is that he did 400,000. So if you look at Edgar Berlanga and you look at Frank Martin and you look at those fights and you say, well, it must be Canelo. Well, let's look a little bit more deeply into that. Who did Canelo fight? Canelo fought Edgar Berlanga. Do you know what that is? That is two demographic of fighters. You have a Puerto Rican fighter and you have a Mexican fighter, which is a traditional rivalry in boxing, even though it may be less impactful of a rivalry than black and Mexicans, but still it is there. So you bring those two different fan bases together and you have good numbers. We don't know what those numbers are going to be. Let's say it's 500,000, because I think it probably will come in somewhere around 500,000. That's my guess. So does that mean Canelo is wildly more popular than Gervonta? No, because look at Gervonta's fight before the last one. You had Ryan Garcia, and people want to discount Ryan Garcia and act like that doesn't count. But that was a case where you had two different demographics and they could come together. And what number did they do? They did 1.2, which is bigger than any fight that Canelo Alvarez has ever had, with the exception of Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, does that mean that Canelo Alvarez is not the face of boxing? I am not saying that he isn't. I think that there's a very strong argument for people that believe that he is. I just think that the manipulation of the numbers and the misleading of people to push that out there doesn't do boxing much good. And it falls right into the category of the damage that is done when boxers lie about how much money they're making. Like Devin Haney saying he made $30 million or $15 million against Ryan Garcia, only for weeks later for us to find out that there was no back-end money paid at all. So, is this the only thing that has been thrown out there? No. You also have people that are really trying to tear down Canelo by saying things like Berlanga came in, to pub up Canelo and make it look even better for Canelo, that Canelo didn't lock out Berlanga, by saying that Berlanga weighed in at 193 pounds the morning before the fight and eventually came into the ring at over 200. That has not been substantiated by anybody in his team, and people associated with that came out and said, man, that's not true. These people are just making stuff up for the heck of making stuff up. And again, like I said, death, taxes, and people lying about boxing facts. It's just consistent. Consistent. And people do it to push the narrative that their guy's number one and this guy's nothing. The same way that people talk about boxers and act like a boxer if they're not David Benavidez fighting Canelo, that somehow a guy like, I don't know, Jamal Charles totally trash, right? Or looking at Gervonta Davis's resume and saying, hey, man, this guy, oh, that guy's trash, that guy's trash, that guy's trash. Just talking out the side of your neck, trying to push your agenda a little bit further down the street. The fact of the matter is that Canelo Alvarez is a very big star, very influential star in the sport of boxing, and we're going to watch every fight that he has, and the same thing goes for Gervonta Davis as well. If I had to think who really has the biggest footprint in boxing, I might lean towards Canelo. But I have to tell you, Gervonta Davis is a big boy out there, man. Really, truly. He is the first Black American fighter to really be posed to consolidate that fan base. Now, it's getting easier to do so because some of the pretenders to the throne have dropped off, but he's going to have to run into eventually somebody like Shakur Stevenson to prove it in the ring, because Shakur really is out there for him. But all in all, man, let me tell you, man, it is a full-time job correcting the stories that people are telling. 750,000 pay-per-views is a number that you wouldn't know right now. Also, 750,000 pay-per-view against a guy like Berlanga is highly unlikely. You would get over 750,000, 850,000, a million pay-per-views if Canelo Alvarez fought Terrence Crawford, probably. But it's the matchup of the fighters that make the mega fight. And I think Canelo Alvarez is without a doubt one of the biggest stars in boxing, or the biggest. I think he may be the biggest star in boxing. But to layer all this stuff up to somehow try to take away from another guy and how he's improving and growing in his career, I just think it's kind of whack. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please don't listen to these pay-per-view numbers from these people, man. I'm telling you, they be lying about these numbers. They make them up to make their guy look good. They make them up to make somebody else look bad. They don't care. They're just going to say whatever it is they need to say to push that ball down the road. What do you get? Kick that can down the road. That's what it is. That's my opinion. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.